Drought. Art and story by Jessica Richter. We wait for them to pass us, huddled behind the town's only bar. Under our shifting feet, a mix of gravel and broken beer bottles from every decade crunch and squeak. The August twilight is deepening, and we are hit with a rush of cool air. The mayor anxiously hushes an elderly woman as she mutters under her breath, who in turn hushes him back. She has been on this earth too long to suffer the authority of a newly elected mayor, particularly one who she delivered 34 years ago in the midst of a drought. We are in the midst of another, induced by the changing climate. Dust fills the air, and the farmers are gray in the face. I had thought I'd seen them worried 34 years ago, but that was nothing compared to this. This is the 5th drought in a row, and our ability to weather anything is growing thin. At a desperate town meeting, shovels were gathered and the church doors shuttered. The pastor sits quietly in the parsonage, the curtains shut and with his ears stopped up. His wife and children were out with us, along with the Catholic priest, marching in line under the July buck moon through the one section of land that always seems to lie fallow. It has been owned by my family for as long as settlers have been in this place, since we were driven from our farm in the hills of England so that a lord might have just a little bit more. We dug through the night, stopping only for the aspen tea I had brewed especially for this occasion. The school principal handed out the star-shaped cookies the home ec class had prepared for the evening. Dust flew into the air and into our mouths and noses. These layers of soil haven't been disturbed in 60 years, and they lay thick on our skin and shovels. The gym teacher and track and field captain handed out buckets of chalk from the school supply shed, and we began patting the white powder into the lines we dug into the ground. Long ago, perhaps, these might have come from nearby mines in England, but on the bald prairies needs must be met. Around dawn, we trek back to our homes and sleep until the twilight of Lammas Day, where we meet behind the town bar to end the drought. Our embroidered costumes rustle, and our red ribbons drag on the ground. The head of the Legion pulled them out from the basement only that morning, and they smell a bit musty. From the street we hear the voices we've been longing to hear this whole time, the twang of the American tourist hunters. They come here every year, rich Americans from the South, who hunt our geese, harass the local women, and buy houses that sit empty all year round. They drink and they drive, and they trespass onto fields of grain and scare the livestock in the community pasture. They hand over American money and are offended when we don't take it, covered in blood from the goose they just cleaned. They leave carcasses of what they can't take back in the ditches, killing for pleasure and leaving these dead birds to rot in the sun. They don't hear us, the soft swish of our felt costumes. They see us, though. They see the masks of cows and wolves and deer and boars and the sun and the moon, and they drop their cigarettes and their beers, and they scream. At the field, they are still screaming about their God and their country and their president and their freedom. Behind our masks, our faces are still. We follow the old gods, and they don't recognize any of what they threaten us with. As they fall silent one by one, the limestone etchings on the earth turn pinkish red. Aided by the Catholic priest, I carefully stuff what remains of them inside the woven being we've made from flexible aspen branches and filled with dry canola set aside from last harvest. I've gotten quite good at making these, although they've never been used till now. Using a Bic lighter, the mayor touches flame to the dried out canola, and the figure turns to fire. As smoke rises into the sky, we hear it, a rumble from the north. The August dawn is blackened by clouds swiftly rolling in, and our dried nostrils scent the mugginess in the air. As one, we turn back to town and head to the hall. Within the shelter of the building, we remove the heads of our costumes and sit quietly on orange plastic chairs as the ladies' auxiliary brings out coffee in china cups for us to sip. We listen to the rain.